Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I will be tracking a couple of beefy storm systems moving through the center of the country as we head through the rest of January. This includes heavy snow, heavy rain, and severe weather with both of these systems going through the end of this month. But if you guys are new to the channel and have yet to subscribe, hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. I cover Canada, the United States, the tropics, and everything in between. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Looking here outside this morning, we have some cooler air to talk about up here into southeastern Canada and the eastern two-thirds of the country. We're waking up to below zero low temperatures up here into Quebec and northern Ontario, Canada as well. Temperatures are around 10 to 15 degrees below zero up here near the Montreal region and farther north into central Quebec here this morning. Across the eastern two-thirds of the country, across especially the Appalachian chain here, we're waking up to temperatures in the low and middle 20s here this morning, and then some milder air farther off to the west across the Great Plains here from Kansas down through Oklahoma and much of Texas, waking up into the 40s and 50s here this morning. And also that dry air is out there. Dew points are rather low across the 20s and even lower 30s down here across the Great Plains and much of the country. So that does mean temperatures will be warming up very expeditiously here this afternoon. Temperatures will be rising into the 60s and 70s down here across Kansas, Oklahoma, and much of Texas this afternoon. Even some 40s up here across the eastern two-thirds of the country. Going into tomorrow on Martin Luther King Day, we have that warmth moving farther to the north across the Midwest, the Great Plains here, and also the Great Lakes as well. We have temperatures in the Great Plains around the 70s and 60s here, farther to the north into the St. Louis area around 60 degrees, Chicagoland up toward Milwaukee into the low to mid 40s, Detroit around 40 degrees, and then the eastern two-thirds of the country will be across here into the 40s and 50s from the Carolinas all the way up toward Pennsylvania and New Jersey going into Monday afternoon. But if you guys are with me here on this video, definitely remember to press that like button down below, that thumbs up button. It helps to get all of this weather information out to more and more people, so I definitely appreciate that. But we're going to be talking about a beefy storm system setting up across the front range of the Rockies going in towards this early week time frame here. We got a 990 millibar low pressure system starting to develop across the front range of the Rockies just to the east of Denver and down here across the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle. And that storm system will race to the north and east going into the day on Tuesday. That will be pushing its way up here in towards the upper Midwest and Great Lakes as a 994 millibar low getting into Monday afternoon and in towards Tuesday morning. This is also going to be pulling up some moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Now, it's not going to be deep moisture. We're not going to see dew points rising into the 50s, 60s, or 70s all the way north into Illinois or Iowa, but we will be seeing those upper 40s to near 50-degree dew points getting up here toward the Davenport Quad Cities, western Illinois here into portions of St. Louis as well. And that will be enough to spawn some isolated severe weather going into Martin Luther King Day itself tomorrow. We have a marginal risk for severe weather across eastern Iowa, southwestern Wisconsin, western Illinois, and far northeastern Missouri as well. This does include a 2% shading for tornadoes and a lower end threat for 60-mile-per-hour winds and a quarter-size hail as we go in towards that afternoon time frame. So let's track that here starting at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. We have some warm air advection with some rain showers and rumbles of thunder down here across the Missouri Valley and much of the Illinois Valley and into portions of southern Wisconsin. The colder air wrapping around the backside of the system could be producing some sleet, some freezing rain showers, and also some flurries of snow as well back here across South Dakota, Minnesota, and also western portions of Nebraska. But as we go through the peak heating of the day into 3 o'clock time frame mid-afternoon on Monday, January 16th for Martin Luther King Day, we got arcing bands of showers and thunderstorms pushing through. We have some low top supercell potential across eastern Iowa, southwestern Wisconsin, and western portions of Illinois with this system that we do have to watch for some rotation, some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and perhaps some quarter-size hail, and that will push its way off to the north and east as we get into Monday evening around the 9 o'clock time frame, with maybe some colder air wrapping around the backside across western Minnesota and South Dakota with some lighter snow showers out there going through that time frame. And the reason why we're concerned for severe weather going into Martin Luther King Day itself with that marginal risk for severe weather there is we actually have a little bit of instability. That's the energy we do need for those thunderstorms to start to lift up ahead of this cold front. And we have just enough to spark some of these storms. We have 500 to up near 1,000 joules per kilogram of energy going into the peak daytime heating here tomorrow. Also in conjunction with a strengthening low-level jet out ahead of this storm system here, we're going to have a low-level jet punching in out of the south-southwest anywhere from about 40 to 50 knots in some of these places. So that is going to be enough to spark that low-level rotation that we need for tornadoes, some of that damaging wind potential and hail potential going through the day on Monday. This is also going to be producing some decent rains across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, getting down here into the Tennessee Valley. Rainfall amounts in the darker green here, averaging around a quarter to half an inch of rain here, maybe a little bit more than a half an inch of rainfall getting up into central Wisconsin and then farther south here toward middle and eastern Tennessee. And also looking at the snowfall amounts from this system. On the backside, like I said, a couple of inches of snow is likely, generally a 1 to 3 inch snowfall event across eastern South Dakota, central portions of Nebraska, and getting back up here into portions of western Minnesota going through the day on Monday here tomorrow. But that's not it. Another storm system is taking aim on the middle of the country as we get toward the middle and late portion of next week. And we have that system taking shape as we get into Tuesday, January 17th, early next week across the desert Southwest with a formidable trough digging down all the way south to the Baja of California and perhaps northwestern Mexico as well. That will race its way eastward across the Four Corners region into West Texas and the Great Plains going into the day on Wednesday the 18th, and before ejecting across the middle of the country toward the mid-Mississippi Valley as we get into late week time frame on Thursday, January 19th. So looking at this, what the precipitation types and intensity will be with this system, starting on Tuesday the 17th, we got that moisture down here across the Four Corners region, heavier snow across portions of Utah, getting into western Colorado, northwestern portions of New Mexico, and then maybe farther south towards northern Mexico, West Texas, into portions of southeastern Arizona, southwestern New Mexico. We could be talking about some rain showers there on Tuesday. Farther to the east on Wednesday, we have that strengthening low pressure system now as a 1001 millibar low will be coming off the front range of the Rockies and taking more of that kind of panhandle type of turn as it takes that left turn towards portions of the upper Midwest here going in toward the middle of the week. Out ahead of that, a strong cold front will be there for severe weather on Wednesday. We have the heavier snow up to the north across Nebraska here, North Platte, getting over toward Lincoln, Nebraska as well. And we're going to be seeing that severe weather side, like I was mentioning, with the opening up here of the Gulf of Mexico. Dew points will be rising well into the 60s down here across the Arklatex, and that is going to promote the threat for severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and maintained a day 5 and now a day 4 risk for severe weather, a slight risk for severe weather across East Texas, Louisiana, and western portions of Mississippi. This does include Jackson, Mississippi, Monroe, Louisiana, Shreveport, getting up toward Baton Rouge, and even Tyler, Texas as well. So if you live in any of those locations, do be on the lookout for severe weather during the middle of next week on Wednesday, January 18th. The reason for that, we have a very strong mid-level jet rounding the base of this trough across the Arklatex going through the middle of the week. These winds will be screaming out of the southwest anywhere from about 70 to 80 knots or stronger. Also a moderately strong low-level jet as well coming off of the Gulf of Mexico farther to the north toward Memphis as well, with that low-level jet around 35 to 45 knots on average across these areas, promoting that low-level rotation we need for tornadoes. We'll also have the threat for heavy rainfall, a more widespread scale here storm, producing more heavy rainfall across the Ohio Valley, the western Tennessee Valley, and really all the way down the Mississippi Delta region as well. In these darker blues and even these purple shaded colors, we could be talking about rainfall amounts between 1 and 3 inches locally across these areas with higher amounts possible. And that's why the Weather Prediction Center has hoisted a widespread slight risk for flash flooding going across portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, portions of northern Alabama, north central Mississippi, Arkansas, northern Louisiana, East Texas, and then getting up here towards portions of the western Ohio Valley. going into that Wednesday and Thursday timeframe. But by the time we get into late week on Thursday, a strengthening low pressure system somewhere up here across Illinois or Indiana or even lower Lake Michigan here will be strengthening up to a 995 millibar low with very heavy snow flying across places like Chicago, Milwaukee, Green Bay, back through Madison, Wisconsin, and Des Moines, Iowa. Some of that snow and wintry precipitation will be moving across lower Michigan and across the Great Lakes here towards Toronto as we head into the day on Thursday. More severe weather likely across the southeast, the Carolinas, getting back through the Atlanta metro area into northwest Florida potentially as we get into Thursday. And then that system will move off to the east on Friday with maybe another system trying to take shape behind that across the front range of the Rockies going into early next weekend. So looking over the next 7 days here from today all the way through next Sunday on the 22nd of the month, we're going to see lots of active weather across the eastern 2/3 of the country. We're talking about widespread 1, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, especially when you get into these purples and red shaded colors across the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and the Gulf Coast states here from Louisiana to Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and even the Western Carolinas. And some of that heavier rainfall will be spreading up toward the northeast as well and farther north and east of there into eastern Canada by the time we get towards next weekend. We'll also be laying out a heavy swath of snow across the Midwest and the Great Lakes here. We could be talking about several inches, some plowable and snow blowable snow across places like Iowa, the Des Moines area, getting here toward the Chicagoland area. If this wobbles just a little bit for Chicago, if this goes a little farther north, we could be talking about no snow, more of a mixed zone of precipitation or all rain. If this goes farther south, that means more snow for Chicago and less rainfall here. So that there's still a lot of wobbling that could be taking place over the next couple of days. We'll have to watch for this. Same thing for the Detroit area, but we'll continue to watch this and fine-tune the details. But it does look like a significant swath of about 6 to 10 inches of snow does look likely going in through from that Wednesday the 18th time frame through Friday the 20th time frame, getting into the middle and late portion of next week. But one thing is for sure, the long-range pattern does look conducive for more of these stronger snowstorms and winter storms to move through the center of the country, especially when you have the cooler air off to the west here with those below normal temperature anomalies, and then the warmer temperature anomalies across the East Coast. Right in between there, that temperature battle zone is where low pressure systems do love to reside, and it does look like that will be the case as we get toward the final days of January with well above average precipitation across most of the lower 48, in exception to the west, where we will be quieting down across Washington State, Oregon, back into California and Nevada for the time being, going right straight through the 28th time frame and really closing out the rest of January towards that 31st time frame as well. So getting into next week, we have that storm system we'll be talking about moving across portions of the southern plains again. Another trough will be digging in across the west, more of a positively tilted trough getting into the following week on Monday the 23rd time frame, and this will be pretty strong as we get in towards the desert southwest and the Four Corners region here on Monday, January 23rd, blocking up here to the north and west here, suppressing that trough farther south, again, digging far south towards the Baja of California and northwestern Mexico will assure us a lot of open moisture with this system to work with. So we'll have more snowfall across places of the same areas that we saw with the previous couple of storms here across Colorado, Utah, Arizona, getting into New Mexico, and then that system will be moving out across the southern plains and the Ohio Valley again with more severe weather, more heavy rain, and on the northwestern side of the system, wherever it does reside, there will be a swath of very heavy snow going toward the middle of the following week on Wednesday, January 25th, and that could be laying out some very heavy rainfall somewhere across the southern plains through the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley here. And there is a signal that we could see several more inches of rain in these red and orange shaded colors that could be over 3 inches of rain or higher. And then we also could be seeing a swath of some very heavy snow. Again, don't take this swath of snow verbatim, but it does just show the general idea that we could be seeing another significant snowstorm on the northwestern side of wherever a low pressure system does track in towards the next following week time frame here toward that last week in January. But again, going toward the first day or so of February, on Wednesday, February 1st, we're going to see all that cold air, the well below zero temperatures, well up to the north across northern and central Canada. Still that freezing line getting all the way south here towards Kansas, Missouri, downstate Illinois, and Indiana as we get into that February 1st time frame. And that will start to pull some of this snowfall farther south. That snow line will move farther south into Kansas, Missouri, the Ohio Valley, and maybe a couple of snowstorms we may have to monitor across the mid-Atlantic and Northeast as we get closer toward the ending of the month of January. And again, with this snowfall laying out across these areas, we're going to promote more cold air, especially with the blocking up to the north. Again, we're going to have that high pressure system across northeastern Pacific Ocean up toward the Aleutian Islands. And again, whatever goes up must come down, and that cold air will be spilling into the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and much of the Great Lakes and portions of the Northeast, going through the first few days of February, right straight through February 4th during that time frame. So thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Sunday, everybody, a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all in the next video.